AusNet Services, Richmond Terminal Station Rebuild Project, Electrical Environment Induction. Richmond Terminal Station is a fully functional operational site owned and operated by AusNet Services. This site is critical to the supply of electricity to the CBD and eastern suburbs. The majority of equipment is nearing the end of its serviceable life, and there is a requirement to rebuild the entire site. This rebuild will see all the outdoor switchgear be migrated into specific gas-insulated switchgear buildings and encourage a more aesthetically pleasing site for the future. The front entrance to Richmond Terminal Station is located at 347 Mary Street. All personnel are to enter and exit via this gate. Deliveries, subcontractors and visitors are to be greeted at the gate prior to entry and escorted to the site office to sign in. Dangerous voltages exist on this station, which are incoming 220,000 volts, outgoing 66 and 22,000 volts, tertiary supplies of 11,000 volts, internal, AC and DC low voltage up to 1,000 volts. The rebuild of Richmond Terminal Station is a very challenging project. Not only is this station one of the most critical in Victoria, but confined work areas, multiple work fronts, reduction of disturbance to the local community and traffic ensure this project will remain challenging. In addition, the station must remain live and operational throughout the project. Upon completion, Richmond Terminal Station can boast the following: new 22, 66 and 220 kV GIS buildings, switchgear and outgoing circuits, 3 new 225 MVA, 220 to 66 kV transformers, housed in a 3-wall bay with fire and sound barriers, new 220 to 22 kV transformers, 4 new 22 kV to 415 volt station service transformers, 1 new emergency diesel generator, 9 new monopoles, removal of all air insulated switchgear. Due to planning and building permit restraints, Richmond Terminal Station redevelopment has specified working hours. These are to be strictly adhered to at all times. Work outside these hours needs to be discussed with the construction manager, have his approval, and be in line with our planning permit for the work. Working hours: Monday to Friday, 7 to 5. Saturday, 9 till 3. Sunday, no work. Always ensure that either the security officer or your supervisor are aware of your presence on site. Working in a high-voltage electrical environment has unique hazards. Complying with both legislation and AusNet Services work practices is essential to ensure the safety of everyone on site. Legislation: Code of Practice for Work on or near High-Voltage Electrical Apparatus, the Blue Book. AusNet Services field work procedures underpin the Blue Book and explain in more detail how we apply the Blue Book requirements into our work environment. Before we can work in a live electrical environment, a Vicinity Authority, VA, must be issued. This details the work area, type of plant that can be used in that area, and all precautions to be complied with. Everyone must sign on to a VA before they can do any work in a terminal station, and must sign off the VA when the work is complete. The safe approach distance for working in a live terminal station is 6 metres in the 220 kV switchyard and 2 metres in the 66 kV switchyard for ordinary persons. This distance may be reduced under certain controls but must have the approval of the AusNet Services construction manager and will require an appropriate authorised person to control the work area. Nothing must ever be carried above head height in a live switchyard and you must never leave the ground level. You cannot enter a HV enclosure, for example a capacitor bank, under any circumstances. Inside control buildings. Take particular care when working inside control buildings due to the complexity of the equipment. Ensure that we do not bump into any relays, they are particularly sensitive. Have written authority to conduct any work in a control building. Battery rooms are no-go zones unless specifically authorised. Live switchyards. Timber or fiberglass ladders only are allowed in a live switchyard. No metal tapes, must be fiberglass or Kevlar. Anything over 2 meters in length, for example conduits and reinforcing, must be carried by 2 people with arms at the trail, straight down by your side. Must comply with all barriers and signs in the switchyard. Overhead conductors. Works underneath and adjacent to overhead conductors, busbar and primary plant require strict permit control, complying with AusNet services requirements. Ensure that prior to working near live overhead equipment that you have been signed on to the appropriate permit, EAP and/or VA. Check with your supervisor. Power tools and equipment. All items must be tested and tagged. Test tags must be current within 3 months. RCD, ELCB must be used at all times and tested monthly. 9-inch grinders and above are strictly prohibited on this site. RCD protected circuits are to be used at all times. Tools that fail a peak test are required to be tagged out of service and removed from site. Hand tools must be appropriate for the task being performed. Sunscreen, fresh water, hard hat visors and rehydration sachets are all available for use. Drink plenty of water during hot conditions. Snakes do reside in concealed, shady areas, often appearing during summer. Please inform the project team if a snake is sighted. Melbourne's weather can change at a moment's notice. Always ensure you have appropriate PPE for the current conditions. All noise on site must be kept to a minimum. Anything in excess of 80 decibels must be notified to the project team and hearing protection worn. This project is 5 years long, so please do all you can to protect our good relationship with the community and council. Be aware, some locals will watch closely and monitor your behaviour. Avoid shouting and be conscious of conversation content. Consider our neighbours and try to contain noisy equipment away from residential interfaces where practical. Must always use the designated car park. No parking allowed in the surrounding streets. Keep public roads clean. No mud to be tracked into the streets. Pay particular attention to driving and other behaviour around Richmond Primary School, located in Mary Street. Only authorised people are allowed to talk on behalf of AusNet services. If approached by a member of public or media, response, "Sorry, I'm not the best person to answer your question. Please contact our hotline." Provide them with a Richmond Terminal Station hotline number 1300 4636 787 1300 Info RTS. If unsure or you believe something needs immediate attention, refer the matter to the construction manager. Site environmental. Control and keep dust to a minimum. Only clean water to be discharged from site, as all discharge goes directly into the adjacent Yarra River. Report any grease, foam or litter immediately. Monitor disturbed areas during and after rain events. Segregate, stockpile and test excavated soil. Determine waste classification and suitability for reuse. Identify and use designated refueling and maintenance areas. Spill kits are required when working with oil. Report all spillages to the construction manager immediately. Keep a tidy workspace. Avoid and minimise waste generation.